This is SEAL Talks, episode 16. Hey, Star Architects. Welcome to the SEAL Talks podcast, the podcast dedicated to helping architects build businesses that are profitable and sustainable. I am your host, Egbeyon Leonard. And if there's one thing I know for sure, it's that most client problems, they don't just start on site. They start from misunderstanding. You have probably been there before. You show your clients a beautiful design and they go, wait, why are we pushing the house all the way to the back? Or can we just remove this wall? That is after you have gone long into your work. Sometimes you just want to scream, but deep down, you know the issue is this. They just don't see what you see. And that is what today's episode is all about. Educating clients effectively as an architect. How do you break down complex ideas without sounding condescending? How do you explain your processes, your value, and your decisions in a way that makes your clients feel confident and excited to work with you? And if you read my book, The Practical Guide to Business for Architects, you already know how big I am on this. Because let's be honest, no matter how great your design is, if your clients don't understand the why, you are going to run into issues with them eventually. So today, we are going to make sure that doesn't happen to you. And if you have experienced it before, well, let's make sure it doesn't happen again. So step 1, understand your client before you start explaining. One of the biggest mistakes I see architects make today, and I used to make it too, is jumping straight into explanation mode head on. We say things like thermal comfort, cantilever, circulation zone when we're explaining to clients. And your client's just there nodding their head and saying yes. Meanwhile, you lost them from the moment you started. So what I started doing is to ask questions first. I ask questions like, have you worked with an architect before? Especially when you notice, how the communication goes. This case is not 100% one size fits all. It depends on who you are dealing with. You ask them questions like, what's most important to you in this project? You basically get them comfortable to talk sincerely with you. I remember a client who insisted on a massive double volume entrance. Instead of just nodding and agreeing to the client, I asked him, what feeling are you trying to create when someone walks in? He paused for a while and then said, I want you to feel prestigious, like that place that commands respect. And that simple explanation changed a lot. We created a beautiful entrance for him with natural light, custom finishes and artworks. No need for 7 meters of unused vertical space. He was thrilled and we saved a lot on the structure. The goal here is not to dump information on clients. It is to uncover what really, really matters to them so that we can guide them there smartly. So that's step 1. Step 2, you translate complexity into clarity for them. When clients are well informed, they stop second-guessing every step you take. They stop calling you at 10 p.m. with random ideas that they got from Pinterest. They stop comparing your fees to one of their old cousins who used to draw back in the day. So that means you also have to learn the art of translation. So instead of saying we're optimizing for cross ventilation, do they even know what that means? You can say words like we have designed the windows this way so that fresh air moves through the house all day, even on hot days. Or instead of saying this is a floating slab reinforcement, you can say, this type of foundation makes sure the building stays strong, even if the soil shifts over time. You have to speak human, not textbook. So step 3, you don't just tell them, you show them. Someone once said that architects are visual people, right? So let's use that to our advantage. Sometimes, instead of trying to explain a concept, just show them, pull out your sketchpad, use a 3D walkthrough, even use your hand to demonstrate space if you must. So let me digress a bit and tell you a personal experience the SEAL team had at one time. We were working on a small residential project for a young couple. They kept insisting on a certain type of window, and we knew that the window would look awkward from the exterior and it would disrupt the rhythm of the facade we had in mind. I mean, at the time, I could have easily said, guys, trust me, this will not work. And I know that will create some level of tension. But instead, myself and the team, we took out a few hours and we created 2 side-by-side 3D visuals. One with their version and one with our own. When these couples saw these options, they paused and one of them literally said, oh, okay, wow, we didn't see it like that. You see that small moment, it saved us from a major design compromise. And more importantly, it saved the relationship and made it easier to talk to each other. I've also had commercial clients who didn't get how our parking solution would help them until we then did a simple animation of how the vehicle moved and boom, we sold them. Visuals help them see what you are trying to explain. Simple diagrams and sketches have saved us from a lot of hours of back and forth with clients. You don't even need fancy software, just clear thinking and a way to communicate it. So step 4, map out the journey from day 1. Most people hate surprises, right? Especially when that surprise will cost them money from their pocket. And believe me when I tell you this, your clients are most people. So what we started doing was to map out our entire process from the very first meeting when we give them the first documents. We give them a project roadmap that shows all the steps we'll go through on the project. For example, we show them what timeline the concept design will take, approval stages and how long they will have for it, payment milestones, when they should expect deliverables to start coming in. If there's need to visit the site, we tell them about it and also state clearly when their input or decisions will be needed and all of that. You see this little 1-page document that saved us from thousands of where are we now? Well, architect, what's happening? It makes the client feel like they're in control and it helps manage their expectation. Trust is when people know what to expect, and that is what this stage does. Step 5, it is good to always tie features to benefits. You see this particular one, guys, it is a big deal to me. As an architect, you don't just talk about what you are doing, you talk about why it matters to them, your clients. Another quick example. So we had, a client in Ondo State who initially wanted to full concrete her floor, her whole compound. And what we're talking about here is about 1,800 square meter of space. Of course, when you remove the building footprint, which was not even up to, about 600 square meters, large building, right? And she and her husband were so convinced that the concrete would be neater and nicer to maintain over time. But we knew that the amount of heat and all of that will be generated. We took our time to educate them. Then we found a way to show them what that much concrete would do in terms of heat, water runoff, basically the general livability of that space. And then we presented an alternative, of course. We designed a thoughtfully laid out landscape with a blend of greenery, interlocking walkways, soft lawns, and even shaded zones. Eventually, they agreed with us, right? And we went ahead and we executed. A few months after we had handed over, the wife called and said, and this I quote, "Thank you, architects, for standing your ground. This home is always cool, even on a hot day." You see that one decision that we made, based on a proper explanation, it completely transformed how they experience their home even till today. Clients may not even remember the size of the beams you specified or the type of drainage system that you intend to use. Hey, they may not even care. But one thing I know they will never forget is how their home feels. And that is the value we always capitalize on and we try to deliver. So that takes us to step 6. Now, invite questions and actually learn to listen to them. You have to make it a habit. End every meeting with any questions so far. Ensure they are on the same wavelength as you? Do they even understand what you are saying? Sometimes clients are just afraid to ask. You'll be shocked that despite the fact that they are the one paying, they don't want to look stupid or look dumb. But when you create a space for question, you sometimes see that they start to open up. You might catch something early, right, that will become a huge problem later. Another example, we had a client once who quietly, I say, emphasis on quietly, she didn't like the size of their master's bedroom. But what was her problem? She was too polite to say it. We noticed that she will, whenever we are doing a design review, she will get to the master's bedroom, she will pause, and then she will move on. So my partner asked, what is it that is bothering her about that particular space? And eventually, she shared her concerns, and we adjusted it before we even got to the working drawing stage. You see, that simple adjustment, it saved us a lot of weeks of work. Because trust me, if every time she gets to that space, she pauses. Now imagine when that space is built. You constantly remember how she should have spoken out. And she will not blame herself for not talking. She will resent you for not doing the right thing. So sometimes I even start meetings saying, there are no dumb questions today, only missed opportunity for us to make things clear to you. This thing that I just said, it disarms them and it builds openness. And another benefit it does is that you have fewer change requests, you have less scope creep, and you have a smoother delivery process. Step 7 now, you turn clients into ambassadors. Here is the juiciest part of this episode. When you educate your clients, they become your biggest fans, your flag bearer. Everywhere they go to, they talk about you. And that is what you want to have at every end of your interaction with the client. Because when you become your torch bearer, your flag bearer, every room they go into, you can be rest assured that they will come back with better paying clients that paid more than they did. So let me tell you a quick story. There was this client we had. It was the first time he was developing in Lagos, right? And he was extremely anxious about everything. The permitting process. The size of this. He went on and on. To the point where at some point we wanted to even stop and ask ourselves, what is this man's problem? But instead of brushing off his concerns, I sat with him for like an hour. I broke down the process step by step. I showed him the template we used in the past, in terms of permitting processes. And I explained that these are the things that could go wrong. And usually, this is how we'll fix it if it does. When he left that meeting, he was more relaxed, he was clear-headed, and of course he was impressed. That client has since referred us to a lot of other developers. And each time, he sings our praise and tells them, you won't just get good designs, they actually explain things to you and guide you like your partners. So, in the practical guide to business for architects, I talked about building long-term relationships, and this is exactly how you do it. People talk, and when they talk about you, you want them to say, Leonard made me feel like I was a part of his team. That only happens, right, when your clients feel seen, heard, and they are informed. Let's do a quick recap. We talked about understand your client before you start explaining. We also looked at how to translate complexity into clarity for your clients. And I mentioned, don't just tell them, show them. Step 4, map out the journey with them from day one so that they know what to expect. We looked at step 5 and we said, always tie your features to benefits and how it helps the clients. Then we talked about how to invite questions and listen to them and address their concerns. We looked at how to turn your clients into your ambassadors and your biggest fan. So let's bring this home. Educating your client is not about flexing your technical knowledge. It is about helping them feel confident. It's about replacing confusion with clarity. And ultimately, it is about building trust that lasts beyond that particular project. So when you simplify what you do, when you guide with empathy, and you explain with patience, you don't just design better buildings, you build a business that is strong and profitable. And if you want more strategies like this, not just theory, but practical steps, then you really should check out my book. It's in audio and ebook format. You can even get the combo. The Practical Guide to Business for Architects is everything I wish I knew when I started out. And I wrote it so that you can also move faster, smarter, and more profitable. Alright guys, that's it for today. If this episode helped you, please kindly share it with another architect you know needs it. Drop a quick review on any of the platforms you are listening from, or simply just tag me when you share it, either on LinkedIn, Instagram, or any other platform you see it. I love seeing where these conversations take us. This is the Seal Talk Podcast, and I am your host, Egbenyon Leonard. I am here reminding you to design boldly, communicate clearly, and build with purpose. Until the next Seal Talks, bye.